Hi, everybody. I'm Ethan Lyles.
And I'm Sean Kitchen.
And you're listening to the Northwest Corner Podcast.
Oh, hey, we're recording. Hi, Ethan.
Oh, my goodness.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome
it's the Northwest Corner Podcast. That's my
I wanted to
host.
say it.
Okay, go ahead. You say it.
Welcome to the Northwest Corner Podcast. I'm Ethan Lyles, the host, along with the producer,
Sean
Kitchen, and the other producer who's not mic'd up, but Heather Kitchen. She makes the world go round. And we have our guest here. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey guys, how you doing? I'm Morgan Riley.
And what do you do, Morgan Riley?
I am a country singer-songwriter.
And how long have you been doing that?
Oh gosh, since I was old enough to crawl. No, but literally, I've been singing since I was 5.
Okay.
We just get up any chance I could get.
And so how long have you been recording?
Since I was 15.
Okay.
So I'm going to say, I won't give you the exact
6.5
number.
No, okay.
But I'll say I've been in the industry for a little over 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've seen a lot of change.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
Yes.
Because, country music is definitely gone places since then. And, you know, we can argue some for the best, some for the worst. I don't know. I like country music, personally. My first concert was the Dixie Chicks.
Cool.
But, you know.
Oh, that's right. I remember you mentioning that.
Yeah.
I forgot all about that.
It was weeks. It was like a couple of weeks right after they had, the lead singer, Natalie
Yeah.
Maines.
She had, blessed out George Bush. And
before they ruined their...
And you know, not that I didn't agree with them of their opinions of that, those they were current at the time, but those events, when your audience is everybody who voted for George Bush,
you might not want to say that.
You might not want to let Green Day do that, and that's cool. But
let Iggy Pop be cranky.
Exactly.
That's what he does.
But no, it was cool. I like the Dixie Chicks, and you kind of felt I'm gonna go see them because they're edgy.
I always thought that the whole thing about it was it wasn't what was said, it was how it and when it was said.
That
it's kind of like it's kind of like having a sister.
Well,
my sister drives me crazy, and I can pick on her all I want, but you better watch your step.
But wasn't she at her? Wasn't it at her concert?
Yeah, she said it
overseas,
during
wasn't it?
She said it during her concert. And most of her fans, are George Bush followers, and they're conservatives.
They voted for him. Yeah, so that's not a great plan. But I don't know. I feel like if there is any platform for her to do it on, I guess at your own concert is fine. It wasn't like an award show, or she didn't pull a Michael Moore or anything like that. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was her own show hers and the band's, but
I don't know. Rule of thumb, loose lips sink ships.
Well, that's ship sunk. And turn into
this is such a timely conversation. Here we are at the Northwest Corner, right on top of current events.
There you go. That took place in 2002 or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. We're on the cutting edge of timely reporting.
But it is kind of fascinating, how that all happened. And then the two other girls, they made the Courtyard Hounds, right?
I'm not really sure, actually.
I think so. I could be wrong. Someone check that. But it was
anyway, we're here to talk about Morgan.
We are here to talk about you. So what is your country music style? Is it like outlaw country? Is it more pop country? Like what did you usually do?
I have a little bit of everything in my songs.
Okay.
It's some country pop, it's some rock country, traditional country, and I even have like a country rap song.
Nice.
So I'm kind of like all over
Cowboy
Rowdy
Troy.
Shouting Cowboys, right?
Yes.
Right.
That was my very first country radio single.
Nice.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep, that was the very first one that we released. It got to top 80 in Music Row.
No, that was 2014, right?
It was 2014, and we released Down South after that, and now we just released Great Minds Drink Alike, and it just became my first Billboard record.
Fantastic.
So it's very exciting.
That's awesome. So are you touring right now?
Right now we have shows booked and stuff, and we're booking more shows for next year.
Is that going to be regional, national, international?
Different places. It just kind of depends. I have some people working in Oklahoma right now trying to get me out there. Oklahoma, Missouri, all
the Big 12.
Yeah, all over those places. So they're working on that now. And then I just booked the Maggie Valley, North Carolina Festival next year.
That's always a fun one. I always hear about it on WNCW.
This will be my first one. So exciting.
Made it out to that one time. It was really cool. They do.
I haven't been yet.
They do a lot of cool festivals out that way. The Brevard Bluegrass Festival, all that sort of stuff. Western North Carolina's always got good music.
Well, remember, episode 3, I was embedded with Yankees for 38 years.
This is true. So you might not
So I'm
know
behind the
so
curve.
much about Western North Carolina.
Yes,
and goings on there.
I'm behind the curve.
Oh, no, Yankees. I grew up liking the Orioles.
Kalamazoo.
You know that's where I was from? You know where Kalamazoo is, don't you?
Yeah, it's on the other side of, I can't remember what we said the last time. But yeah, it's on the western side because Western Michigan's in Kalamazoo, so I know that. Sports ball.
Okay. So what else you got going on?
Well, let's see. The new album is almost finished. And
got a release date yet?
Not yet, because we are not sure whether or not it's going to be an EP or a full album. We have so many songs. And
Any singles?
It's kind of hard to decide. The one right now is Great Minds Drink Alike. Mm-hmm. It's a country duet. I actually found a local artist here in Fountain Inn, South Carolina, Trenton Etris.
Okay, shout out.
Really talented. He's never really put any songs out before, but he has done some shows around here.
He's rocking a heck of a beard too, isn't he?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Gotta go see the music video.
All right. Are you playing any shows around here?
Yeah, well, we just played Wild Wings,
nice.
literally both Wild Wings, one in Spartanburg Friday and one in downtown Greenville. And we play at the Aloft Hotel this Friday.
Mm-hmm. All right, where at the Aloft Hotel? I don't know where they were.
It's downtown Greenville off Main Street, and there's like a rooftop bar, and you can bring your dogs.
That's cool.
So we got to bring Charlie.
They're dog friendly?
Yes.
Oh, God,
my friend wants to bring her mini pig.
That's pretty cool.
I'm sorry, run that by me again. You said she was going to bring what?
I love her. She's my best friend, Mandy. Mm-hmm. And she has a mini pig that kind of looks like it's this big. It's about 18 pounds.
A pig, a P-I-G.
A pig. You know, that kind of
That's not
squeals.
like short for another breed of dog or something.
Not a
squeals.
Not a guinea pig?
Mini pig.
You mean like
He's
Charlotte's
so cute.
Web
He's not supposed to be any more
They're
than
like puppies. I love them because they're so cute and they run around and they act just like dogs.
She puts clothes on them, and then I'm her maid of honor next year at her wedding. So I'm walking him down the aisle because he's going to be the ring bearer. And she's putting like a tux.
I may have just like died and suffered cuteness poisoning. That sounds.
He even has his own Instagram page, Waylon.
Oh my goodness.
The pig has his own Instagram?
Yes, Waylon. I think I can remember the last name. She named him after Waylon Jennings, I think. So.
That's a good person to be named after. Yeah. So who are your country music idols?
Oh, let's see. I grew up listening to Trisha Yearwood, Martina McBride, Garth Brooks, pretty much everybody because my God family babysat me and they threw country music down my throat since I was like 2 or 3. Which is kind of why I didn't always do country music because I wanted to kind of
that teenage rebellion,
get a challenge and just see what else I could do. I was a pop R&B artist for a little while, and then pop rock artist, and then adult contemporary, and then of course I went back to my roots country.
So like when you were like pop R&B, when was that? Early 2000s?
No, I was, it was around 2000. It was like 2002 or something like that.
Good time for R&B.
It was like right after the Twin Towers fell in New York City. I moved there right after that.
I bet that was, you probably had like a lot of interesting stuff going on songwriting wise.
Yeah, it was kind of cool because I was in an all-girl group, so it was fun. We got to kind of like collaborate together and stuff.
I have a special place in my heart for like early 2000s like pop and R&B. Like the first album I ever bought with my own money, Usher Confessions.
I like Usher.
Temptations' greatest hits.
Oh, I love Temptations too. I saw that their documentary.
I'm not joking. That really was the first album. The producer looked at me like I was crazy. Seriously, I had this thing for Motown when I was a teenager.
What was your first album you ever bought with your own money?
Actually, you're going to be surprised by this one. Jewel.
I like Jewel.
That was probably the first album that I ever bought with my own money.
She's funny. I never would have guessed how funny she was.
I was braced for something like Straight Outta Compton.
And that
I like that too. I just saw that documentary also. But I think my first album was the Backstreet Boys.
Oh, nice.
My parents bought me. I had Backstreet Boys everything. Curtains.
You didn't put their pictures up on your wall.
Oh my
you?
gosh, are you kidding me? I was like obsessed.
Oh, one of my best friends in high school, she was a fan of New Kids on the Block. Everything. She had this thing
I totally
for Jordan
forgot about
Knight
New
that
Kids
was
on the
just
Block.
Absolutely mental.
That was probably my first one then, New Kids on the Block, and then Backstreet Boys.
I think first one my parents got me may have been a Matchbox 20 album, like Rob Thomas.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
That was, it was good music for, I like it. There was a great show that I saw. We've talked about the Freedom Week in the Loft, and we don't need to rehash that. I'm sorry. We've gone through everything that happened there, but it was a great show. It was like Collective Soul, like Need to Breathe.
I love Need to Breathe.
Train and
I went to that concert.
and Matchbox 20 like all on one stage, and it was
That's
just this
awesome.
great 90s rock.
I think it's cool they had Need to Breathe there because they're a Christian band, so I think that's cool that they incorporated that. I'm a big Jesus girl. I love the Lord, so I like listening to Christian music.
That's good.
A lot.
Are you a big Hillsong fan?
Yes.
Hillsong's great. I really want to go to Australia and see like a Hillsong service. That would be super cool. I have.
What's your favorite song with them?
Hillsong Young and Free.
I like It As Well.
It is a Taya Smith song. Taya Smith is.
Young and Free I like too, but It As Well is probably my favorite. It's, when you're just sitting there and if you have a bad day or anything, you just feel so peace and relaxed with that song. I don't know. I could listen to it over and over again.
I'm trying to.
Well, speaking of Christian artists, the first rock band I ever saw in concert was Petra.
Huh. That's taking it back.
That is interesting.
Now that's taking it back. That was on the God Fixation tour, so that must have been about 1997, 1996, something like that.
See, I didn't follow Christian music my whole life. I didn't even know the Lord until, recently, probably like 6 years ago.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, geez. Petra was... now we're really going back into the 70s. They were kind of the archetype for Christian rock artists and being able to really kind of build the machine of modern Christian music marketing and all that. Yeah, I saw them at the Auburn Cord Duesenberg Museum in northeast Indiana, outside of Fort Wayne or Fort Worth? Dallas is Fort Worth. Fort Wayne, Indiana. I always get Fort Wayne and Fort Worth confused. And all I remember from that show, well, there's a couple things. One, I love Petra. I love that big arena rock sound. And two, Pete Orta, the guitar player at that time, he walked out on the stage with a hot metal flake pink paisley Telecaster.
Jesus. That sounds
And
amazing.
I thought, you have really got to be secure about who you are to come out in front of thousands and thousands of people with a hot metal flake pink paisley Telecaster.
Well, man, they paid to see
rock
it,
your
so
socks off.
I think, you're in front of an audience that paid to see you. I think you can pretty much do whatever you want.
I sat there. I sat there like a little boy with his first crush. I couldn't take my eyes off of watching Pete Orta play that guitar.
Man.
Like, I've never seen anything so pink be so cool in my whole life.
Obviously, you were not a fan of vaporwave aesthetic. And
Since I have no idea what you're talking
90s,
about.
like
think the
that,
answer is
like
no.
or like 80s, like Miami Vice, like
This is the
electronic
part of the
stuff.
show where I feel old.
This is the 1980s I'm talking about.
Still don't know what you're
Okay.
I didn't know what he was talking about either. That's okay.
Vaporwave. Okay.
Oh, anyway.
We'll have to Google.
Yeah.
Wake by Taya Smith.
Part
is the
2
song
of
that
this
I was thinking
interview.
of.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Part 2 of the interview. We can talk about this.
That's
later.
good.
Okay.
Okay.
So, what compelled you to start recording music and doing that and getting in and making that your career, your full-time career?
I just always knew what I wanted to do since I was a child. It was weird. I was just singing, and my brother actually heard me singing, and he told my parents. I was like, wow, have you heard her sing? And I think I was probably younger than 5. And that just kind of started. I always had that desire in my heart. I feel like God planted that desire in my heart since I was a baby. Didn't even know it was him because, like I said, I didn't know the Lord until much later down the road. But it was just kind of like my gift that he gave me, and I just loved it so much that every chance I got up and sang in front of people.
When did you start writing music?
I didn't actually start trying to write songs until I was like 15, and I wouldn't really consider my writing that great. It was really poppy and cheesy.
Did you ever dig up some of the stuff that you wrote back then and
goodness. It was funny. I was in the kitchen today, and like, I was like, 17, a girl has a dream. And I was like, that was one of my songs when I was like 15 or something like that.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
And that's all I can remember.
What got you into, so when you got into it, you were not doing country. What compelled you to move over to that?
Well, let's see. I started doing country when I came to South Carolina. You know, I always wanted to move down south and stuff. I always felt like I was like happy-go-lucky, you know, country girl, even though I lived in Maryland originally. And then moved to New York City. But I think just being around it and just realizing that's where my roots were. That, you know, I tried pop R&B and I liked it, but it wasn't like that exciting, you know. It was more of a challenge for me just to see if I could do it. And I just decided to get back into country, and that's when I met with Frank Green, Skyton Entertainment in Nashville. Okay. And he really helped bring my country side out.
Would you say that was your big break?
I would say my first break was with the Pride of Carolinas. I was chosen, it was a Koch and Sony New York thing, and there was a single record deal. There's 4,300 people that auditioned, and I made the top 17. And that was my first really like big deal kind of thing.
I'm sure that kind of affirmation.
First time out of the chute, top 17.
Yeah, It was really cool. Then they chose me. They chose 3 to have a radio single, and they chose me and 2 others.
What was the single?
Oh, gosh, Natural High.
Can we hear that? Is that available to listen to somewhere? In
probably not. But because after that, I started working with the producer in Charlotte from the Pride of Carolinas.
What producer?
Chris Clay.
Okay.
Platinum Vibe Recordings, and he believed in my talent, so we did an album called Affinity, and you can go look up Affinity. That's out there.
Affinity or Infinity?
Affinity.
Okay. Affinity. Like, I have an affinity for Kalamazoo, Michigan.
As do I.
Yeah, I'm not even sure how that one. Usually, I think I came up with that title. I'm not even sure why I came up with that, because there's not an Affinity song on there. But
okay.
But it was cool. So I started doing that, and it was more of a adult contemporary album. And then I started writing more of a country thing. And I was like, you know, I want to do country. It's just my heart started leading that way. I don't know if it was the Lord or what it was. But so I reached out to Skyton Entertainment in Nashville, and they called me back 2 weeks later. And I auditioned, and they signed me after 1 song.
Fantastic. So where's your music evolve, like in the evolution process? Where is it now?
Now, I absolutely love it. My first album's Collage, and you can get that anywhere. It's iTunes, Amazon, any digital site, and MorganRileyCountry.com is the place to go to get everything. It's just really evolved from here now as a songwriter till my new album, which is coming soon, which has Great Minds Drink Alike.
Okay. And where do you see your music going from here as far as like style changes, or you know, are you going to go back to Christian or back to pop, or are you going to get more like roots or Americana? Actually,
what I love about writing with Frank Green, I wrote with him in Nashville, is the fact that we do a little bit of everything. Even my Collage record had a little bit of everything. Like I said, Rowdy was country rap, traditional country. Well, this one's kind of the same thing. I have a blues funk kind of country song, a traditional country song. It's a country duet, the one that's Great Minds Drink Alike. And then there's even some kind of soulful piano songs, and I did write a Christian song.
Okay. And is that on the album too?
I might be a bonus track. Like I said, we're trying to get this done to submit it to the Grammys like we do all the time. And I think the deadline's only like a few more months. So.
Have you ever gotten any recognition from...
I always get accepted in the Grammys, which is awesome. I've never been nominated, but always got accepted. And that's really hard to do, apparently. I didn't know that. Apparently, like, you have to know somebody on the Grammy board. and to even submit to the Grammys. Which Frank Green is right? On the Grammy board.
Okay. And well, so that's convenient.
Yes, it's awesome. Because, he also produced Kenny Rogers and all that stuff. So he's pretty well known in Nashville. And very independently successful, I would say, for his label, Skytone Entertainment. And we submitted it to the Grammys, and they accept the submissions.
And so how, going back to country music, since you've been sort of getting back into that, how has that been received critically?
Actually, people are loving it. I'm very excited. I have more fans now than I've ever had in my entire life.
Have you ever received any negative criticism for an album? And if so, how do you deal with that?
Really, you just got to take it for a grain of salt. You're never going to have everyone 100% like you. And it's the business of it's the music business. I mean,
that's life.
Kind of have to, it's life too.
Was there any specific positive or negative criticism that really stuck with you?
Like, how country music's changed. So Rowdy Shoutin' Cowboys, literally either you love the song or you hate it.
How do you mean?
Because
what about it do people love or hate?
Loved it because it's a fun dance country rap song. Hate it if they like traditional country music, because it's really not traditional, but it's really fun.
Okay.
And it was a great thing to kind of start my career. It actually launched, my career. So
what's your opinion of some of the more polarizing figures in country music today? Florida Georgia Line or something like that. You don't have to go on the record with these answers if you don't want to.
Oh no, it's fine. I like Florida Georgia Line. I'm one of those artists that I appreciate everyone's gift and their art. So whether it's Florida Georgia Line with his shouting out the cars kind of thing, that's kind of like how Rowdy is, with their number one song that got them rolling, basically Florida Georgia Line. And this is how we roll,
Yep.
Yeah. Well, so I liked that, but I also love traditional, like Keith Urban's song, Blue Eyes Ain't Your Color. And then
we are now at a point in history where Keith Urban is considered traditional country.
Well,
all right.
See, I'm still, my mind's going back a few more artists. Now you're in the genre, you're in the industry, so maybe you can shed a little bit of light on this.
Yes.
Let's rattle off a couple names here. You just mentioned Florida Georgia Line. You've got Brooks and Dunn.
That's a name I haven't heard in a minute.
Reba McEntire. You've got Patsy Cline. Where we just span 50 years?
Yeah.
Of a musical style titled country.
Yeah.
Yet distinctly, wildly different styles within that spectrum, yet all falling under one umbrella. I think that there needs to be a little bit more distinction within that. I mean, look at rap. You've got gangster rap, you've got R&B,
and you've got West Coast, East Coast, Atlanta, sort of I guess what's sort of really turned into now trap is the genre that you would call it, which is very kitschy, very easy to get into. But then you still do have people who try and put a lot more complexity. And that's not to say the artists like Amigos or something, because their songs are not, 20 different verses, each unique to themselves. It's bad. That's good music that a lot of people really enjoy. But you also do have other people who are putting more stuff where they're just this is stuff that I just want to say and get out there. And not everybody likes it. I like it sometimes. Macklemore, someone like that. But so there are a lot of subgenres, but it all does come under rap. Whereas country music, you do have what you have on the radio, which is really turning more into pop country.
It is.
And then a lot of the other country, that old school country, has transformed now into Roadhouse or Americana or folk, indie folk sort of stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we are seeing a really interesting period of adaptation and evolution in the genre.
Well, it is definitely cool. I mean, when I meant, and let me clarify, when I said Keith Urban traditional, he has his now songs that aren't traditional at all. But then he has that song where he's like, take your records, take your freedom. That's kind of traditional.
That is very...
and that's what I mean by Keith Urban and being traditional. Obviously, he's not like... Johnny Cash
or something.
I
just thought the
Randy
sentence,
I mean, it was funny how it came across. Yeah, I could have named another artist, but I think what really I love about Keith Urban is he's like the triple threat. You know, he's the voice,
definitely.
the guitarist, the writer.
He's a great songwriter. And he's able to do a wide range of things where he can do that more like emotional, like, you know,
and he's soulful,
and then also go into that. I'm going to have fun and everybody's going to love it and it's going to be a good time.
Exactly. And I think artists like him is the reason why country is so all over the place, because you can have traditional, you can have now country, you can have whatever.
But what do you think about?
How do you define the genre?
You really can't.
How can you have, let's take a couple songs.
Define the genre of rock. There's just
nobody knows what the genre of country music is anymore. Believe me, it's one complete roller coaster ride, and they're all waiting to find out what's coming next.
And a lot of people are sort of
and that's kind of the point I'm making. You know, how can you go from Walking After Midnight, great Patsy Cline song. Yeah, and it got the first time I've listened to that song for years because my grandmother
really like Patsy Cline, don't you?
Well, my grandmother used to play it a lot. You know, she was a depression child, Ethan. Call back to episode 3.
That's sad.
No, I'm totally picking on Ethan right now. Totally picking on Ethan right now.
Inside joke. Okay.
My grandmother was a big fan of Patsy Cline, so I had always heard it. You know, just kind of in the background of my life growing up, I heard Patsy Cline songs. But then somewhere around age 20, 22, something like that, I remembered watching an old television broadcast of her performing Walking After Midnight on NBC or something. You know, very grainy black and white footage. And just something about it, it was like all of a sudden hearing it for the first time, and I thought, oh my God, this is a really good song. You know, so that you go from that, you know, you fast forward 3 decades, you've got Dwight Yoakam, Fast as You, great straight up 4/4 rock and roll. It's really more of a rock and roll song than it is a country song, if you know which song I'm talking about.
A lot. I mean,
most country is rock.
Most country is rock.
Or pop.
And then that, you know, then you get into the debate, well, is it country? Is it southern rock? I mean...
So I guess the point I'm trying to make is, you know, you've got over the course of history, all of these very disparate styles and approaches to this same genre titled country. It's kind of hard sometimes for a plebeian like me to discern what's the commonality that weaves through all of that.
Let's say this. You're saying there's all this different stuff in country. Well, why don't we just take country, rock, hip hop, jazz, R&B, all of it, and just say it all came out of the blues? Because it did. I mean, going back way back to, you know, let's go back in your music appreciation classes from college that you had to take for a course credit. And you know, it all came from blues. Whether that came from, you know, like old slave hymns to Christian hymns to gospel, it all came from blues. So really, that's the genre.
Well, and before I sound like a cranky old man, I don't mean that. I'm not asking that question as an indictment. I'm asking it more from a standpoint of kind of fascination.
Well, I didn't take it as an indictment.
You know, and then
it is fascinating.
No one knows the answer to that.
And here you are now, you know, kind of at the now cutting edge of a continually evolving industry. You know, where do you see it going?
Actually, I see it going. It's constantly changing and evolving, and I see streaming, downloading more is going to be, as far as getting artists out there, and as far as the style, no one knows where that's going, because we're all kind of just, I mean, you look at a song that's out there now and you think to yourself, how can I make a song that's like this and competitive with everybody, but a little different?
Well, when you make songs and you're trying to release a single, are you trying to release something that you're like, is this going to be a chart topper? Are people going to listen to this? Or are you writing songs that you're like, I like this. This is what I want to write.
Both.
That has to be a tough line to walk.
Both. I always try to write stuff that is competitive in the industry because I don't want to waste my time just writing on a song that I know, because there's not really any album fillers anymore. We're beyond that. We're a singles market.
This is true.
Not even a lot of people are putting out.
You've got about 20 seconds to set
I mean,
a
you
hook
can
sonically.
But here's the thing: it's like you have to have a certain time on a song. 3 minutes or so, no more than 4, or will not go to radio, especially as a new artist, unless you're like already established.
Unless
and
it's
you've
just
gotten
like a
10
great song and it's Freebird or something like that.
Yeah,
and
but that's in the rock genre. That's
so
in the
you're
rock
saying
genre.
Keith Urban can release in 8 minutes.
Now,
Sure he
Keith
can.
Urban could. Someone that's have already had their billboards and their number ones, and I mean they can do whatever the heck they want. They usually that's what I love about country music.
But if you're gonna be a new artist and you have a 11-minute
You
long
have
song,
a window.
you're gonna have to only release 3 minutes of that song and call it a song.
You know who I feel the most sorry for? And this is going to show my very ancient background.
We get it. You're old.
Is the guy at the radio? I am old. Is the DJ at the radio station who has to play the song?
Well, the DJ at the radio station and
no. You don't. No, you don't. You're not getting what I'm saying. There used to be this thing, and I don't think it exists so much anymore. We used to have stuff that we called bathroom songs. Because when you're on the closing shift at the radio station and it's 10:15 and you're all alone and need to go to the bathroom, you got to find a song that's at least 6, 7, 8.5 minutes long so that you can run down the hall.
I can only imagine though that being a disc jockey,
and I worked in radio. I'm not joking.
Well, these days,
being a disc
technology's changed.
So a disc jockey can just be like and he doesn't really even choose. It's the
program director.
The program director, and that comes from like let's take Whistle 100. I think is Whistle 100 part of Intercom?
iHeart. Yeah. So
okay.
iHeartRadio and 99 Kids Country.
Okay. Intercom radio, they have like B93.7, 93.3, The Planet, like all that stuff. The Rise Guys morning show, those guys aren't choosing what song is going to come up next. It's the program director, and that all comes down to like money and like what's like making the most money. So as a disc jockey, that stress has been alleviated for you a long time ago.
Well, not just money. It's more relationships, because you have your radio promoters that have relationships with
that is true
the program directors, and then if you do radio tours and stuff. You just have relationships. Like I just actually got a tweet from Froggy 100.3 in Saratoga, New York, and they were like, "We're playing your song right now."
Solid.
On the way
I bet
here.
that feels good.
It was pretty awesome, actually.
That is cool.
And I became friends with Chris O'Neill, who's the program director, because I Facebooked him and just said, "Hey, my new record just hit Billboard. I wanted you to check it out." And then he tweeted me back and said, "Morgan, we're playing your record. We just put it in the up and coming artist list."
And getting into Billboard, that's big. That's huge. That's
really
a big
tough.
break.
Yeah. So it was the top singles chart, and it was all genres.
Now, is that Billboard top 40 or Billboard 100?
It was top 80.
Top 80. All right.
But top singles chart. So it's like how many sales you get per that week.
Right.
To be in there.
And when you get it in that week, that can only help, that sort of will perpetuate and be like, all right, so since I'm in that 80 this week, people will now see it. And so hopefully I'm in the top 40 next
you
week
are
or
so right.
Like
and honestly, it's been helping with radio.
That's good.
Yeah. So I'm blessed. God's good.
But back to the singles thing. I think that, album songs still do exist. And can be just as good or even better than the singles. Lorde just released her album a few weeks ago, Melodrama. I'm going to plug it because it's great. I'm a huge Lorde fan, and I'm not even ashamed of that. But she released a single, Green Light. That was the first single on it. That is, everything she touches is great, and I love it. But that was my least favorite song on the album. Was the single. And Taylor Swift's got her new album coming out and that Look What You Made Me Do or whatever.
Yeah.
Song, I really don't like it. I love Taylor Swift. I'm hoping that the songs on the album that aren't singles are better than that.
Yeah. And I agree with you. There are album cuts, but I was referring to actually releasing them to radio.
Oh, okay.
You pick your own singles, but now it's a singles market. So unless...
So you don't think the studios or the producers pick, this is what needs to be a single and we need to do a song that's going to be a single so that we can push it out and promote?
Just depends on the label that you're with. Being with Frank Green, I have a lot of creative side with it.
Do all artists, though?
Well, no. I mean, I think if you're with a major label, it's like, this is what's happening and you have to live with it or leave.
Yeah. So what do you think about artists who are able to do it without any label? Like, I
think it's awesome.
Chance the Rapper, for example, he made it. I know there's a lot of controversy though. I mean, you can get into like, okay, but
No, he got, I think, a record deal because of his streaming.
Mm-hmm.
All about that now. That's what labels follow. They follow success.
So
I just watched a series of interviews with Shirley Manson from Garbage, talking about the changes that her band went through being part of a major label and finally divorcing themselves of that. They've created their own production company, their own distribution company, and they own it, right?
And if you can make your own label...
Well, you have to be careful.
That is true.
You do, because if you do not know what you're doing, they will rob you blind.
They will. And if
that's just the business.
There's bands that'll come out and they'll have songs or an album that I think is great, and then they get picked up by a major label in their next album. I don't like it. It's Mumford & Sons. When they came out with Sigh No More, God, what a great album. That's going to go down as probably one of the best albums of the 2000, like the first decade of the 2000s. There's a hot take for you. Baked Fresh Daily. Yes. But the next album was nowhere near as good.
That was probably just that situation. I guess it just depends on the artist and what, because have you heard of Carly Pearce, the new girl, country music? She's like the new thing now. Literally, they played her on Sirius XM The Highway. And Big Machine, literally, Scott Barchetta flew across the country just to sign her. And now she's like top 11 on Billboard for radio plays.
Next album, what do you think that's going to sound like?
I think her songs that they just put out are amazing.
Really?
And I listened to one of her songs before she was signed, and I wasn't crazy about it. But her first two songs that Big Machine did...
Well,
Every Little Thing and If My Name Was Whiskey, great songs.
Well, maybe it's all about who's helping you.
True.
And who's on your team.
The label, the production. I think I don't know. I think everything happens for a reason.
Everything's on your team. That can be important. We are being told that we need to go to break and that we need to wrap up the first segment because I have an audition to get to.
Good luck.
All right. Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure meeting you too.
I'm glad I got to ask you some like
fun questions,
and you didn't shy away from them, and I admire that.
Thank you.
So thank you very much for your time, and you have fun with Sean.
I had a great time. Thanks.
That'll do it for us. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Ethan Lyles. Please tune in again for more of the Northwest Corner podcast next week.